I feel gratitude at a number of levels. I think that the scale of this investment didn't really hit me until we were letting people know the dollars. Um, Looking at sort of how the landscape continues to move, these investments are going to be meaningful for a long time, and that really means a lot to me. So just gratitude to Larry and to Fay for being truly catalytic, because this is a catalytic thing that we did. I feel a lot of gratitude to our culture. Like, I come from social justice nonprofit. That's like my bread and butter, and it has never been as holistic of a working experience as this is. And so I'm just grateful that this was also a personally nourishing event. And then I think I'm grateful to the grantees, to be honest, because we came out of nowhere and we're like, we want to give you all this unrestricted money, and that takes trust too. That takes an enormous amount of trust. They don't know, what our motives might be. They don't know what our culture is. They don't know, if this is all kind of like some weird moral reckoning. They don't know anything. And I appreciate that everyone met us with the intent that we proposed. They were willing to kind of meet us with this, crazy, giving everyone the spiel about anti-racism and just blah, 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 blah. They listened and they were encouraging. And so I just have gratitude to them for just agreeing to kind of go along with this as we learned with them. How do you feel, Faye?
I feel so proud of you, Jasmine. that is my overwhelming feeling right at this moment. It kind of makes me want to cry. I do. I just feel so proud of you. I feel like you really have been, we were peers, but you really were the leader of this effort. And just want to acknowledge that. And I remember you really kind of came in on the sails, the spirit of your grandmother. I remember you talking about her in the interview, and that it moved me when you talked about her. And I think you brought her spirit into this work, and I felt that. I feel like I learned a lot personally, and I've been in this field a long time, but I feel like I learned a lot from this process about different ways to lead, and that were better. And
Can I ask, like, what? Not to put you on the spot, but I'm just really curious because I think you know everything. So,
well, I don't know everything. I mean, I guess I, and I don't want to overclaim. I never like overclaiming.
please don't.
I don't. Yeah. I'm not a micromanager by nature, so it's not like I learned how to not do that, because I don't like to micromanage. I like to support people in doing the work. But in this instance, I think I learned some new ways of it's what I was saying before, of leading from behind. Like, you really were leading out front, and I was really leading from behind. I was really taking your lead and knowing how to help, support it to make you successful in this environment. You were probably going to do that anyway, but I was able to follow you and say, well, what can I do to really support her leadership? Because actually Jasmine is better suited to lead this work than I am. And so, what's the role that I can play? And I feel like I just learned some new intuitions, really, more than concrete, new intuitions about how to do that in a way that that would actually lead to better material results. And I think that what you did and the way that you did it led to better material results than if I did it. I've heard that phrase used many times, to lead from behind, but I never really experienced it until now. Like, you were really leading out front, and it was better. It was better.
Well, can I say something to you though, Faye? Honestly, I mean, this fellowship works the way it's supposed to, because I don't think I could have done this any earlier in my time.
Yeah.
And I mean, the posture of a leader, I learned from you. I mean, when I came in, I think, I don't want to call myself temperamental per se, but I was it was very easy to activate me emotionally. And I think
Yeah.
that was getting in the way of my ability to relate to people and to lead people, especially people who were older than me.
Mhm.
And it's something that in my work prior to this was never going to be checked on because everyone's afraid to tell the Black girl that she's being mean. But I feel like, very early in our relationship, that's something that we really were able to work on in a way that was very much honoring of my experience, but also like, get your shit together.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's skillful, Faye. And so I just, I think this was truly a peer effort in that I needed all of my work with EPG up to that moment to be able to lead Hewlett in the way that I could. Like I knew I
Yeah.
had the instincts around the
Yeah.
anti-racist work, but to do it at this scale, at this institution, there's no way. I'm heartbroken that my Faye is leaving me, but the only reason why I'm all right is because this process showed me that I will be okay in your
Mhm.
absence.
Mm.
So I just, I wanted to reflect that back to you because really, like, so many of my instincts, especially around like challenging power dynamics or like how to listen to people or how make people feel heard, these are things that I learned long before we were doing this anti-racist work. It just, I had the framework and the experience to apply it. So
Yeah.
right back at you.
Yeah. I want to say something about the grantee calls because I mean, every part of this, this was sort of like a book. There are different chapters, but uh, th- there was the piece, and Jasmine, you were on all of the calls with the grantees, and and different people, council members, and Amy and I joined for others. I was probably on, I don't know, 6 of the calls with you, and I just love them, and so I loved hearing the stories from the grantees. I loved hearing Jasmine tell the story of the work to each of them, and and the reactions.
Yeah, I think I'll share about one in particular, which I think moved me just on an incredible level. Souls Grown Deep, which works in Gee's Bend, Alabama, with Gee's Bend's quilters as well as the community. I got on a call with the president, a few of their grant makers, and their board chair. And their board chair is a third generation Gee's Bend quilter. This woman is old enough to be, I would say, my grandmother without aging her. I am polite. And I get on the call, and at the end of the call, the president asks, is there anything else anyone wants to say? And she just says, thank you so much from all of us down here. I can't even begin to tell you what this means to us. And I'm just, I'm not even 30 years old yet. This woman has been protecting my culture for her entire life. And she's thanking me. And I just had to say to her, thank you for protecting our culture. This for me was like a love letter to my upbringing, my culture. And I feel like I was uniquely privileged and prepared to do it. So the grantees, I mean, every one of those calls was magical. And that's why I have such gratitude to them, because I think in that moment also, this has been such an alienating year. I haven't been active in protests. I used to be a protest girl, but don't do that anymore. And so I've been feeling very socially isolated as a movement person. And so those calls and just having our community around me was so rewarding in that moment. Faye, I think this is an incredible testament to your work at Hewlett. I think this is like the definition of good philanthropy, because it feels good, right? And it does good work. And I feel very honored that I got to work on your last big project with you at the foundation. It means the world to me. And I hope that you can take some of what you learned with you. But I just, such appreciation, really. I think this is like definitely the most important thing I've ever done in my life. So I have a lot of gratitude, and it really speaks to the legacy of your work at Hewlett.
Thank you, Jasmine. I agree that it was really a magical experience. It really was. So I can't, they always say, leave when you're on top. I can't imagine a better project to conclude on. And I'm definitely taking it with me.